Hey, this is the Carson Corner podcast. And, you know, this podcast is in relation to what's been happening with athletes and Malika Andrews, and then Stephen A is jumping in. And so, what's happening right now is that there have been accusations or things thrown at Malika Andrews, saying that she's just pointing out black men and demeaning them, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's the situation with Josh Giddey, and the alleged situation with an underage young lady. And then recently, Von Miller. Von Miller and his situation with his pregnant girlfriend, him turning himself in, him dealing with legal issues possibly right now. And so, my biggest thing right now is first, apologize to Kevin Porter Jr. because recently his former girlfriend, I would assume, came out and she said that none of what has been reported is that he did. None of it. And so it leads me into this situation now because I'm starting to see something in the industry. And I have a clip of Stephen A. Smith really trying to clear the air, per se. I don't agree with him. I'm just going to say it right now. I don't agree with him, but he's trying to clear the air by saying that with the Josh Giddey situation, there's certain things that he can't report on because there's an investigation on. There's an investigation ongoing. And then with Von Miller, we can talk about it per Stephen A. Smith because there was a warrant for his arrest. He went and turned himself in. So we could talk about that, even though the NFL is doing its own investigation. And see, my issue that I have right now, the biggest issue that I have right now is the fact that it's still alleged. Though, yes, he had a warrant for his arrest. Yes, he turned himself in. But everything is still alleged. Because the young lady who's pregnant could come out and say, no, that didn't happen. We don't know yet. And so my biggest issue that I'm starting to see is that this prominent network that we watch sports on, this prominent network that we watch television on, this prominent network that, we are attached to these individuals who give us their daily debate, insight, et cetera, et cetera. It appears as though that they're selectively choosing who they want to highlight and who they don't want to highlight. Right? Josh Giddey's situation is being investigated. But the news that is out right now is that everything is alleged. It's alleged it's an underage young lady. It's alleged that they had relations and etc. That's it, right? That's what we could talk about. Von Miller's situation, yeah, he had a warrant for his arrest. Yeah, he turned himself in. Yeah, he posted bail. But the accusations are still alleged. So to sit there and have a conversation and to say that if he did this and if he did that, he should be X, Y, and Z. But that same energy is not being pointed towards Josh Giddey. The if, the if, the if, the if. And see, the reason why I use Kevin Porter Jr. is because and I'm not trying to say Ms. Gondrzik is lying of any sort, trying to protect Kevin Porter Jr., but what she's standing by, and she's saying that everything that the New York attorney, the DA, reported isn't true, then the world has done a disservice to Kevin Porter Jr. I did a disservice to Kevin Porter Jr. on this very podcast, right? Because I took what was said as truth, but it was alleged, right? So you sit here and we have the audacity to shoot people and knock them down when it's alleged. And I don't see anybody running in front of the camera saying, you know, we were wrong about Kevin Porter Jr. His former girlfriend is saying that none of the stuff that's reported happened. This is the stuff that's going on with men in general, and specifically black men. Now, you're a member of this podcast, you subscribe to this channel, understand that what I say, I speak, right? I don't speak on things prematurely. I take what I see, I report it, and then I give it to you. Where I'm standing at right now is that I'm frustrated because there is evidence that Malika Andrews does certain things towards a certain dynamic. And it's starting to show the same way with Stephen A. Smith. He tries to say to Des Bryant, don't come in our backyard trying to tell us how to do journalism. We don't go in your backyard trying to tell you how to be an athlete, which is a lie because they do every day. If you're not a good athlete and you're getting paid millions of dollars, they tell you what you should do. If you're a great athlete and you're performing okay, then you should be doing this. So they do it. And we live in a society where you're guilty until proven innocent. That's just the bottom line. We live in a society that you're guilty until proven innocent. I am frustrated. I'm frustrated because I took the time out and I wanted to kind of listen to things before I said anything. So here's the clip of Stephen A. Smith. We're going to play that. We're going to come right back.
Miller turned himself in to the Glen Heights Police Department hours after the warrant was issued, and he immediately posted $5,000 bond and was released. Why am I bringing this subject up? Because recently, over the last few days, I had to address a subject involving Josh Giddey of the Oklahoma City Thunder of the National Basketball Association. So considering that and juxtaposing that to this story about Josh Giddey compared to Von Miller, I wanted to take a moment to explain to everyone the difference of why we, meaning people in the media, can discuss this matter and not the drama that is surrounding NBA player Josh Giddey. I showed him there. You saw his face. You see his face right now. He's been accused of messing around with an underage girl. But in his case, ladies and gentlemen, there's an investigation. The NBA isn't talking. He's not talking. The Oklahoma City Thunder, the NBA team he plays for, is not talking. The family, nor the girl he's alleged to be involved with are talking. No one knows. So when that report comes out, and there's an investigation and an allegation, that is all you can say. In the case of Von Miller, it's a different animal. Because Von Miller had a warrant out for his arrest. Law enforcement filed papers. Law enforcement forced and compelled him to turn himself in, where he was ultimately able to post bond and depart. And now the National Football League is looking into it because they have something called the Commissioner's Exempt List, where ultimately you can get yanked off the field and not allowed to play. So you see why we would be able to talk about that a bit more extensively than the conjecture that we would have to rely upon if we were talking about Josh Giddey? This is what I'm trying to tell y'all. I want you to understand there's a difference. And I want the players out there. I want the professional athletes, the former professional athletes like the Des Bryants of the world, to take these notes. We might sit up there and judge what we're seeing. We might sit up there and even have the temerity, the unmitigated gall, to tell you what we think you should have done based on your exploits and what you can bring to the table. But you know what we would never do? Go out onto the field and try to show you what the hell you should be doing. Y'all don't understand. That's the equivalent of what y'all doing, hopping on social media, trying to tell journalists how to be journalists. You can't say everything. Every truth isn't made to be told prematurely. Sometimes you have to wait. Sometimes that's the way it goes. That's all I was trying to say, Des. I don't want to disrespect you. I don't want to come at you the wrong way. Got too much respect and adulation for you. I just want you to know, stepping into this lane where you're trying to tell journalists like Malika Andrews and others how they're supposed to do their jobs, proclaiming that they did it one way for somebody without doing it some way for another, without having all of the information available to you, just ain't wise, my brother. It just ain't wise.
One of the things that I have an issue with is the way that Stephen A. Smith comes across. Very nonchalant, very hypocritical, in my humble opinion. Very arrogant. Trying to say, well, look at Von Miller. He has a warrant for his arrest. So we could talk about that. Right? Josh Giddey, nobody's talking. And there's an investigation going on. So basically what you're trying to say is, Mr. Smith, is that when someone has police evidence as far as a warrant, we can talk about that because it means that they're guilty or it means that they did something. It's still alleged because the young lady who this is all surrounding around hasn't said anything. She hasn't said, Von Miller definitely did this. Then we could talk about it. But we're not in that arena. We're not in that position to say anything. So with all that being said, this is the Carson Corner Podcast. And as I always say, I'm rich.